Not long ago, we got ourselves into a backyard project, and I was using the rototiller. And as it goes, I rototilled up a root, and I hit this root, had to stop and dig it out and figure out what was going on. Probably not that big of a deal. However, the root was about 1.5 inches in diameter, big solid root, and it was connected to a 50-year-old grapevine 100 feet away. The root's still there. I'm not digging the whole thing up. We'll work around it.
Yeah.
The point of the story is there are a lot of little things in life that we think are just a little thing, but they're really a big deal, what they're connected to and what they might be contributing to. A couple episodes ago, we talked about the value of greeting one another with the holy kiss. And if you're going to walk into a room, at some point, you're probably going to walk out. So we want to talk today about a little thing that's a big deal, and that's how we say goodbye. Our little G goodbye.
We are Elisa and Brian Hope, and with lots of years of being married
And being a pastor.
and a mental health therapist, we have hopes for your marriage.
Here we go.
So, I don't know if you've given much thought to your goodbyes. This is one of those things you do from when you're really little. Hi, bye. You learn how to say bye. We just kind of do it. However, we get into patterns in our relationships that sometimes we need to step outside of and take a look at. And goodbyes are one of those. So I want to invite you to take just a minute to look at this little thing that you do all the time. So it's whether you are running to the store and errands, you're going out to the garage or shop to work, or you're doing some shopping or going to work, whatever it might be. We are in and out all the time of each other's lives. And we get into some patterns. And so I want you to take a look at those and see, how are those patterns going? How are your goodbyes going? Now, there's some themes that we hear when people get into patterns that aren't that good. And we're all prone to those at some level. So some of those that we hear and see are the pattern of just leaving without saying anything. I had a friend recently that said something about her husband, how she knows if he's gone is she has to look out the window to see if his car's in the driveway or not. So he just has a pattern of just taking off. But sometimes we get into whether it's taking off or mumbling as we go out or maybe even storming out. There can be a lot of different ways that this can go wrong. And so we want you to step back and take a look at that and ask yourself, what might be going on? If my goodbye is not that great, if it's connected to some negative feelings and experiences, what might that root be to that little grapevine that's out there? What might the root be, and what might be going on under the surface?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things. We've got a few ideas that we want you to just think about and consider. Maybe some of this is going on for you. Is there a tendency to avoid accountability and simply want to just do your own thing and leave and have independence and not want anybody telling you what to do or checking in on you? And so just leaving or storming out or being vague and kind of cagey about your leaving, and so your little G goodbyes are sort of ducking out unnoticed. Are you avoiding accountability and just wanting to have that don't bother me, don't mess with my life mentality? Are you possibly hiding unhealthy habits? Are you dodging the goodbyes and making it difficult or feeling a sense of difficulty in it because you know you're going out to spend too much money that's not in your budget, or you're going to go hang out with people, friends that aren't really positive or a good influence in your life and certainly aren't a good influence in your marriage? Or are there some unhealthy habits that this is connected to? And has there been a conflict? Have you recently had a conflict with your spouse and it's unresolved, or what we are calling not just unresolved but a festering conflict? Because conflict doesn't just stay neutral as it is undealt with. And we're actually going to spend a lot of time in the new year talking about communication. We're going to offer some episodes on that, so stay tuned about how to handle that well so that it really benefits your marriage. But these are just some ideas, like what is the less than ideal little G goodbye? What is that connected to? And we want you to take some time to assess and reflect in your own life if there's something that it's connected to like that, because there's a better way.
there's benefits in the same way that root goes a long ways. There's benefits to actually turning that around and really leveraging that little moment for something that is really good and really big.
Yeah, so here are some handles, some things you can start doing differently, hopefully benefiting your marriage and how you handle your goodbyes. The first thing is to just connect. When it's time to say goodbye, when you're leaving the room or whether you're leaving the house, whether it's just for a short trip or a big trip, go and find your wife, go and find your husband and connect. Make eye contact and say, I'm leaving now. I love you. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Don't undervalue that little thing of just connecting and making eye contact and reassuring your spouse of your love for him or her. Also, clarify if you're not quite sure how long you're going to be gone, and this can contribute to some of the difficulties in goodbyes. If one of you is wanting some real details, like, well, where are you going? How long are you going to be gone? When are you going to get back? What exactly are you doing? And sometimes you just don't know. So clarify. If you know those things, say that. I'm going to be running some errands. I got to go to Home Depot and I got to go to the store and I was going to swing by and say hi to a friend. I'll probably be gone for about an hour. Or if you don't know, because a lot of times we just don't, to clarify that and say, I'm not really sure. I'm hoping it takes me an hour and a half, but it might be longer. I really don't know. And we're going to come back around and talk about how to manage the clarification when we talk about communication.
We've got some communication episodes coming up, but being able to name those things like, I don't know, even if your spouse is wanting to know, to be able to say, I can't do that right now. Sometimes we avoid because it's like, oh, I just can't handle one more thing. But we keep that in our own head and we don't just say that. So if you're feeling that, like, I'm leaving and I'm already maxed out with what I can remember or what I can do or think about, it's okay to tell your spouse, like, I hear that that's a need right now. If you're wanting me to add something on or know something I don't know as far as what I'm going to be doing and when I'll be back, but just name it. I can't do that right now, but maybe that's something that we can do later, or let's get that on the list. You can validate that need, but just be okay with being limited and speak to that. Also, if there's conflict and you're leaving because you need to have some space, you need to name that too. It's not respectful. It's not demonstrating respect for your spouse if you just take off. This is an opportunity, even if you are really angry, to be able to say, I need space for your good and for my good. I need to take off for a little while. And if you're taking off, it's your responsibility to remind them, and I'm coming back, and we will have a chance to talk about this. Now, you don't need to say a lot if there's not a lot that you can say well, but to be able to clarify and communicate when you're in conflict is huge. So even in the worst case scenario, you've got an opportunity to still demonstrate that this person that you're married to is worth loving and respecting, even in that more difficult goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we all need to know, even in the most healthy marriages, that you're loved when your spouse is taking off for a little while, and that just means a lot. And if you're leaving in conflict, to be able to say, I will come back and we'll talk about this because I love you and because this is important. This is just what I need right now. So there's some handles I think will be really helpful. We think will be really helpful in just retraining us and giving us some skills and how to manage our little G goodbyes. And it was interesting. In all of the epistles of the New Testament that the Apostle Paul writes, he ends them. The last word, the little G goodbye in the Bible, is grace. Grace be with you all. Grace to you. Over and over, the grace of the Lord Jesus be with you. And boy, that really sums it up well, that when you're stepping out, when you're saying goodbye for a little bit, that you leave your spouse with that kind of grace. So we want you to receive that grace from God and know that He never leaves you or forsake you. There's no capital G goodbye. And that He always reminds us that we live in a state of grace with Him. And so as we are saying goodbye to one another, whether for a quick errand or for a couple days, that we make that very clear. Grace to you.
Because we all need it.
Yeah.
So that's our encouragement for you, and those are our hopes for your marriage. We hope you have a good day.
See you next time.